Hi, I'm Francesco and today I'm going to show you the 15 most important advice before buying and before flying the DJI Mavic Mini. I've been flying the DJI Mavic Mini for the last 3 months and I really enjoy it, so I hope that you find them useful. You will find them also in the description with a link to the section of the video for any single advice. If you enjoy them, if you have a question, feel free to post a comment. If you like drone footage video, please have a look at my video. If you like them, please consider subscribing to my channel and click on the bell to get notified when I post new video. Thank you. So the first and important one is which one to buy. My advice is to buy the Flymore combo. The DJI Mavic Mini here in the US is $399 and it comes with one battery, the drone itself and the remote controller. For $199, that is only $100 more, you can buy the Flymore combo that has much more value for money because it includes 3 batteries, the standalone battery charger, that is this one, so you won't have to keep the battery in the drone and charge through it. Then you will have a quick chargeable charger that is a fast charging, the propeller guards, extra propellers and also the carrying case. I mean, believe me, you don't have to think about that because you are going to need them. The estimate of any single component of the Flymore combo is around $180, but the value for money is not only the main reason. One battery is not enough because when you go out to fly your drone, many things can happen. For example, it's an amazing day that you have been waiting for, there is no wind, and you may want to fly again and capture different spots, or simply because you forgot to hit the record button and so you were flying without recording any footage. So a second or a third battery is needed. And if you think, coming back to the value for money, only 2 batteries and the battery charger itself without the wall adapters, it's only $129. So it's really no brainer. I will recommend to protect your Mavic Mini with the DJI Care Refresh and or the personal item insurance because it's very easy to damage your drone, considering that it doesn't have any collision sensor, but the only one that it has is at the bottom, that is this, and even experienced flyers, people that is now well used to fly the Mavic Mini can make mistakes. I can post a link in the description to see how an experienced drone pilot crashed the Mini because it doesn't have any sensor. The DJI Care Refresh costs $39 but gives you the peace of mind that your drone will be replaced or repaired for a small cost by DJI. But, and this is the caveat, assuming that you are able to recover it. The personal item insurance, at the opposite, protects you in case you cannot recover the drone. For example, you are flying over water or over a mountain, you crash it and you cannot recover. In that case, the personal item insurance is the one that can cover your loss. The most common here in the US is with the State Farm that costs about $75 per year. So, you arrived to this point, you have bought the Mavic Mini or you already have it. So let's start first of all with some of the apps that you need to download before flying. The first and most important one is UAV Forecast. And this is something that I was not expecting when I bought the Mavic Mini because I thought that I was buying the drone and I can fly anytime. I was totally wrong. What is UAV Forecast and why it can help you? UAV Forecast helps you to check the wind at the altitude and at the location where you want to fly. The Mavic Mini is very light. It's 249 grams, as we know, and it can resist only to a wind speed of 15 miles per hour. The app can be configured with some basic parameters like the wind speed and the altitude, and it will tell you if it's good to fly or not, considering also other factors like the satellite lock, the weather, and So it's what you need to do is to configure the app and check the wind and the gust that are your worst enemies at the speed that is less than 15 miles per hour, that is the maximum supported by the Mavic Mini, at, for example, 400 feet or 120 meters for Europe as the maximum 8. That is the maximum one permitted by the regulation in the US and in Europe. And another advice is that remember to take off against the wind and come back with the wind pushing the drone in your direction, because flying against the wind will drain your battery and you can say goodbye to your Mavic Mini. Actually, I will not recommend to fly with wind over 10 miles per hour, especially if you fly over water or in places where you can't recover the drone in case of any issue. There are many people, so you can search on YouTube, there are many people that do wind tests. Actually, since I fly mostly over water, I'm not going to do. Before you fly is the app of the FAA, that is the US regulation, to check if you are in a restricted flight zone. It will tell you if you need or not to ask for an authorization and if there are further restrictions, for example, to the maximum altitude that is permitted. AirMap and Kitty Hawk are apps where you can ask the flight permission before takeoff. Among the two, I prefer AirMap, but this is pure my preference, so feel free to use one of those two. Remember to create a profile, because so that you can be ready when you need to ask the flight authorization when you are ready to fly. The authorization is mandatory also for the DJI Mavic Mini if the flight zone is restricted. It doesn't matter that it is below 250 grams. And you can also use only AirMap, for example, if you want to both check the restricted flight zone and request the flight authorization. But this is completely up to you. Next one, and the most important app, is the DJI Fly app. The DJI Fly app is needed when you buy the drone to register and activate your drone at the first setup. Is needed to update the software, and remember that if you buy the Fly More combo and you have more than one battery, you need to update the software of each battery by simply swapping the battery in your drone, and then of course the app is used to control your drone when flying. It also has some tutorials and an integrated video editor that is pretty easy. It has only the downsides that it allows you to export video at a maximum resolution of 1080p. Become familiar with the app at home, especially with all the settings and the pre-flight check that are needed, because when the drone is up in the air, is get familiar with the controller. Get familiar with the controller. It can sound dumb, but become familiar with the controller and the joysticks. And if you have the Fly More combo, you will have the propeller. So put the propeller on and you can test your drone indoor to get some practice. To remember the rules to fly a drone for recreational purpose according to your country regulation. One important thing is that your drone is not a toy. Remember that you need to respect, if you are in the US, the FAA rules or your local regulation. Even if it's only 249 grams, you are subject to the regulation for the recreational flights. The main information that you need to know is that you always need to keep the visual line of sight with the drone, flight at a maximum altitude of 400 feet or 120 meters. Don't fly over people and don't fly over moving objects. I know many times you see these amazing movies of flying over a bridge, over cars. If you want to do that, you need to do when there are no cars moving under your drone. And then, the time that the cars arrive, move away, move on the side. Why? The answer is pretty easy, because if your drone falls over a car, you are liable for violating the FAA rules. And you can do an insurance if you want to insurance against damage that you can create, but in any case you will be liable because you will flying against the regulation. Next advice is explore your surroundings and what's over your head. This is pretty basic, but many people don't do that. So as soon as you go out in the spot where you want to fly, explore the sky and explore around, and small little air cables, walls, trees are your worst enemy. So the Mavic Mini, as I was saying before, it doesn't have sensors, it doesn't have front, left and right, back and up sensor. It does have only the sensor on the bottom that is sensing what is below. So if there is any obstacle on any side, it will crash. So be very careful. Set the Wi-Fi channel on auto. So go in the transmission settings and set the Wi-Fi channel mode to auto. Why? Because the DJI Mavic Mini relies on a Wi-Fi transmission, and if you are in an urban area, it's very easy to get interference. What will happen? That you will lose signal and your screen on the phone will become black. Keep calm, don't freak out if you lose signal and you don't see anything else on the screen. The auto channel mode allows you to switch automatically the channel in the case there is an interference on the channel that was the strongest at the point where you took off. Keep the visual line of sight. This is basic, it's required by the regulation, but it's very, very important, especially in the first flights. The best way is to ask a friend to look at your drone, because most likely during the first flights you will be nervous. This is very important. In the advanced safety settings, be sure to set the return to home in case of loss of signal. What happens? If you lose signal, the drone will automatically come back to your home point that you set as soon as you were taking off. The other two options are, the first one is descend, and with descend the drone will descend and land in the spot where it is in that moment that you have lost the signal. So if you are far, it will land far from you, and probably you will not be able to recover. The other option is hover. Hover, as soon as you lose signal, the drone will keep hovering in that spot. But this is also dangerous, because if you won't reestablish the connection, the battery will drain and the drone will be forced to land in that spot. Besides that, the return to home is of course the safest option that you need to use, but don't forget also to set the altitude. So if you lose signal and the return to home is activated, the drone will come back and will stop and hovering at the altitude that you set in this way. Use the propeller guards for indoor, especially if you want to practice the control and the joystick without breaking things in your house. You can use them outside if you want to feel more comfortable, but you need to be careful of two things. The first one is that there will be more resistance to the wind, and so the drone will be pulled and pushed more easily by the wind. And the second one, that is even more important, is that the propeller guards add more weight to the drone. So it will make it heavier than 250 grams, and so the regulation will change. Here in the US, for example, you will need to register the drone with the FAA, while, for example, in markets like Europe and Canada, you will need a license to fly. This is very common, and this is one of the mistakes that I did many times. I mean, make sure first of all to have the SD card in the drone, And the second most important one is to hit the record button if you are going to do a video. Be careful that you can't record a video and take a picture simultaneously as you do on your smartphone. For example, on the iPhone, while you do a video, you can take also a picture. On the drone, you can't. So if you want to take a picture and you are recording a video, you need to stop the video recording, switch to photo mode, and then take a picture. And if you want to start recording again, you need to switch back to the video mode, hit again the button to record, to start recording the video. So switching mode while recording a video, of course, will make you stop the recording. This is important because in my first flight, I thought that I could take pictures while recording a video, and actually what happened is that I switched mode and I lost my first footage. So that's a real story. Another advice, talking about recording, remember when you have done flying and your drone is landing, remember to stop the video recording before turning off the drone, because otherwise the video file will be corrupted, and when you will put the SD card in your computer, you will see file error and you have lost your footage. Ready? Let's take off. Use the Cine Smooth or C mode that is recommended for beginners since the movements are smoother. And once you get confident, use the position mode, or called P mode, which has faster movements. And then when you have mastered the remote controls and you have no obstacles around you, enjoy the sports mode. When recording a video, I personally prefer to shoot in P mode or in C mode and then speed up the video footage in post-production if I need to. And it's not the C mode, just to clarify, it's not only for beginners. I mean, if you want to do cinematic shots, that's the one that you can use because it has smoother movements. The best advice, especially for the first flight, is having the drone in front of you so that you can see it, but also with the camera having your same orientation, so that the controls are not inverted. I hope that you enjoyed these tips. If you have more questions, clarifications, leave a comment and I will be happy to answer. And you can find all the footage that I've done with my Mavic Mini on my channel. If you like them, please subscribe to my channel. Click on the bell if you want to get notified when I post new video, and have a good flight.